Secondly, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, moreover, what to talk of the living human beings, those who are in the womb of mother before the birth, he declared that the life of a man is such a precious thing that nobody can act against the life of a child who before its birth is in the womb of its mother. And he said the mankind possesses such a respect and honor that even after the death, nobody is allowed to sit on the grave of any person, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, because this is the requirement of the respect for mankind. It comes in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim that a funeral was going on here. When Holy Prophet ﷺ saw a funeral, he stood up. Somebody stated, it comes in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, somebody informed him, "Oh Holy Prophet, this is a funeral of a Jew. This is a funeral of a non-Muslim, not the funeral of a Muslim." Holy Prophet ﷺ got angry. He said, "What are you talking about? He is a Jew or a Muslim. He is a human being, and this respect has been given equally for every human being." Then the right of respect and honor was declared by Islam. And it was stated, nobody is allowed to make joke of any person. Nobody is allowed to curse any person. In today's lecture I explained, even Holy Prophet declared nobody is allowed to curse his animal. Nobody is allowed to curse his camel he is riding on. Nobody is allowed even to torture the dogs. Nobody is allowed to torture the cats. Nobody is allowed even to torture the ants. Any living person, even a bird, an animal or human being, Holy Prophet said that nobody is allowed to torture any human being in this world, on any animal, living creature on this world. Then he gave the right of privacy. And he said, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tadkhulu buyutan ghayra buyutikum hatta tastanisu." Nobody is allowed to interfere with privacy of any other person. Right of privacy was guaranteed by Holy Prophet. The right of security was guaranteed by Holy Prophet. The right of human equality, legal equality was guaranteed. Social equality was guaranteed. And economic equality as far as the basic needs are concerned in the form of social and income support, that was guaranteed. And Holy Prophet declared, "La fadla li Arabiyyin ala ajamiyyin, wala li ajamiyyin ala Arabiyyin, wala li ahmara ala aswada, wala li aswada ala ahmara illa bit taqwa." There no superiority would be granted to any person, whether white or black or white or red, or whether belonging to Arab nation or non-Arab nation. The superiority is based only on character and integrity of the moral integrity. It is not based on any religion, color and race. Then another constitutional guarantee was provided by Islam, by Holy Quran and by Holy Prophet ﷺ, and that was guarantee of legal equality and legal justice. He said, وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ أَن تَحْكَمُوا بِالْعَدْلِ. There is no mentioning of Muslim and non-Muslim. It is stated, يَا إِنَّا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤَدُّوا الْأَمَانَاتِ إِلَى أَهْلِهَا. This was a general commandment for every Muslim and non-Muslim, and stated whenever you are appointed, you are given an authority to adjudicate the matter, a judicial authority, so you are required to administer the justice in favor of every person, whether he is a Muslim or non-Muslim. Kunu qawwamina bil qist shuhada'a lillah. You have to administer the justice on this earth and become the witness to Almighty Allah. Then the guarantee of free hearing was given to every person. Nobody would be punished without proper independent hearing. Nobody would be punished unless he gets the right of hearing. This right was given by Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The right of defense was guaranteed by Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Freedom and liberty was granted by Islam and Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Human liberty. All these concepts were introduced in the whole world centuries and centuries afterwards, but these were promulgated, practiced and enforced by Islam 15 centuries before. And Holy Prophet said, La ikrah fid deen. There is no coercion in Islam. There is no compulsion in Islam. There is no narrowness in Islam. There is no inconvenience in Islam. There should be no hardship in Islam. Nobody can compel any other person in Islamic land to become a Muslim. If anybody compels and coerces a non-Muslim in an Islamic land to embrace Islam, this act would be against Islam and against Quranic thoughts. Everybody has a right to practice his religion. Rather, Islam appoints the Muslim rulers to protect the places of worship of non-Muslims. In the days of Banu Umayyah, one of the caliph, a governor in Damascus, he demolished a part of a church, and a mosque was extended, and that part of church was made a part of the mosque. The Islamic jurists of that time, they stood up and they said, this act of demolishing the church and the place of worship of the Jews and Christians, this is totally un-Islamic, and Islam does not allow to demolish the churches and worship places of other religions and to extend the mosque at that places. Sayyidina Umar bin Abdul Aziz, he stood up and he demolished that part of the mosque again and ordered that this part should again be re-included in the church, and this part of mosque should be demolished. And it was done. Then freedom of expression was declared by Holy Prophet. Freedom of expression. And then the rights of ill people and rights of old citizens were declared, given by Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The right of protection of properties was given by Holy Prophet and by Islam. The right of contract, to pay respect to the contracts and agreements. Up to the extent, I would like to finish this matter. The last thing which I will want to mention here, let us see the 10 years of Medinan life when Holy Prophet ﷺ was head of the state, right up to the conquest of Mecca. No war was fought on the borders of Mecca. All wars were imposed on Prophet of Islam, imposed were on the society of Islam, and each and every war was fought either on the border of Medina or closer to Medina. The first was the war of Badr. There was an advancement, an aggression by the Meccans, and Holy Prophet ﷺ and Islamic army fought as the defense of Medina. The war of Uhud was fought on the border of Medina, just 2 miles away. The war of Trench was fought on the border of Medina when Trench was prepared in order to defend the city of Medina. All wars were fought in defense. We can't see in 8 years of Medinan life a single war which can be known as the war of aggression. Each and every war fought by Islam was the war of defense. And in 6th of Hijrah, when Holy Prophet went with 1,500 companions for performing the pilgrimage, the Meccans did not allow him to enter. So even then he accepted their suggestion, and a treaty of peace was prepared. And Holy Prophet signed the treaty of peace. It was a no-war pact for 10 years. But there would be no war and no fight between Medinans and between Meccans. 10 years no war pact was signed. But unfortunately, after 1 year, this was the Meccans who broke this contract and treaty of peace, not the Medinans, not the Muslims. This treaty was broken by the Meccans, non-Muslims. And as a result of that, the city of Mecca was conquered. Even then, when he entered, I mentioned in my today's lecture, when he entered, one of the companions, Sa'd bin Ubadah, he raised a slogan and he said, Al-Yawma Yawmul Malhama. This is the day of revenge. Whatever has been imposed and whatever has been happening with us for the last 8 years, today we are going to take revenge. Abu Sufyan came to Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, this is a slogan being raised that you, the Muslims, are going to take revenge from us. Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam got angry. He stood up. He said, this day is not the day of revenge. Al-Yawma Yawmul Marhama. This is the day of mercy. This is the day of forgiveness. This is the day of pardon. This is the day of compassion. We will forgive every enemy who was living here. And Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he declared from Mecca, from the Kaaba, Haram of Kaaba, he said, if anybody enters in the house of Abu Sufyan, he will get protection. If anybody disarms himself, he will get protection. If anybody shuts the door and gives a message of peace, he will be protected. So none of the Meccans, there were hundreds of thousands of Meccan non-Muslims, none of them were murdered after conquest of Mecca. None of them. So this was a stance, this was a conduct, and this was a behavior of peace, and this was carried on by the history of Islam throughout. Unfortunately, some criminal elements in these days, they started bringing a bad name to Islam by their own criminal activities, by their own, because of their own political agendas, because of their own extremistic, radicalistic and terroristic activities. And at the same time, the mistakes are not committed only from one side. The mistakes are also committed from other side too, in order to their policies. So this is a great misunderstanding between the West and between Islam. If the true face of Islam is identified and the true teachings of Islam are truly understood, and those people who are the criminal and terrorist, they have no religion, they have no attachment to any culture, they have no faith, they are faithless people, they are enemies of humanity as well as they are enemies of Islam.